So I'll take it away.
Yeah.
Me and Ben have worked on some projects. Ben and I have a very similar philosophy, and I consider Ben one of the better people in this industry of what he does. He also was in film and commercial before, getting into some of the 3D and CG and gaming stuff, which is very similar to me. And I thought he was the perfect person to sort of be an apex for some people in the audience and people watching at home, of going through that journey and following your dreams and keep trying and winning and growing and having fun along the way. So that's who Ben is to me, and I wanted to introduce Ben to all of you. So Ben, how about you guys introduce yourself to Ben, and let's have Ben introduce himself to everybody else.
I'm Simon. I am the head of games and education here at the M3S Academy, and this is
Stefan, the CEO from the M3S Academy. It's a pleasure to have him, really, because you have a very large network, and I'm very happy that you have introduced him. But most of all, we have discussed so much about the industry and the artist, and I've seen that you're a freelance director. So I will leave it to Joe because he knows you very well, and let's see where it goes.
Yeah, so Ben, why don't you tell everybody who you are and what makes you tick, man?
I'm as you said, I've been sort of growing up in the industry from the ground floor, basically, and sort of never did an education, really. I just sort of worked myself up and just kept trying, wanting to do good films or doing films myself. Started out as an illustrator and did storyboards for many years and did commercials. Went into directing commercials for many years, and eventually sort of tied the loop with coming to animation from live action. Sort of really utilizing my skills in illustration and sort of having been really interested with animation before, but never really thought that it was like something where I could achieve what I wanted cinematically. I've always grown up with that, Scorsese, Spielberg sort of thing of wanting to do real films, right? And when I got introduced to the CG world and doing like hyper real animation, which is what I do mostly, I really saw that I could bridge that gap. My interest for animation and what you can do with technology, but also still sort of keeping the actor throughout the process, right? And working with actors and mocap and all of that. So yeah, and here I am doing full CG stuff and for a living. Super happy about that.
Awesome. Ben, what are some of the favorite? I mean, maybe not favorite, but what are some of the projects that sort of made you who you are now, and why? Like, what did it take for you to realize what you just said? You said, the Scorsese's is the thing I wanted to do in film, and I realized I'm finding that right now in this other world that maybe I didn't know I would discover in this way. What projects did that for you?
I mean, I've been working on a lot of trailers, doing a lot of that sort of stuff. It's limited amount of acting and directing and those things. It's a lot of movement and action, and that's really fun as well. And I've really enjoyed that, and I wanted to keep doing that. But for the past year and a half or two, I've been working on a long format animation, which is really exciting, and that's really where I felt like I could go into. Yeah, like direct actors, like have really good actors on the mocap stage, see them all excited about the possibility as an actor in that space to be really free and not care about the cameras and not care about the stage or if the focus is wrong or anything like that, and that's really where it clicked, being on stage for many weeks and just really working through that. So I think that's a project that's pretty secret so far, but it's coming out later this year. Yeah.
One thing
super excited.
One thing that's really interesting about Ben is we were doing a project, an Xbox project. It's a big one. It'll come out soon, and Ben kind of took it upon himself to kind of rediscover what it is that we were looking to do and what I was looking to do. And it kind of like came out of left field and blew us all away. And we kind of internalized after a meeting with him. We were like, should we just make that thing instead?
Just
and like,
scrap everything
it
else.
almost was like a thing we were like considering. We are like, what if we just scrap everything and just do that? And it was so invigorating for Ben because like in our world, a lot of people don't really take chances and risks sometimes, especially at the high AAA level. Like you show up and you do the thing that people ask of you. And a guy like Ben, like myself, we say, well, fuck all that. Like, let's try to do the thing that we really came here to do and have fun and do something kind of interesting and more compelling. And that's a guy like Ben does that. He'll take that chance. And that's a message to everybody here is you got to go outside the coloring line sometimes. It's okay to do that. It's okay to make a discovery. It's okay to find a new boundary and go, okay, this is where I can really go now. And you'll discover something new, and you'll discover something about yourself and your limitations. So don't be afraid to do that. Don't be afraid to do that. But that's an interesting kind of personal story of Ben and I, and me and Ben got to have
for
some
sure.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah, and that sort of thing, going like always pushing your clients, if you're working for a client, which you usually do, or partnering up with someone, like you have to challenge their. In my mind, my job is to challenge, like in that case, you, Joe, like come up with something completely left field and sort of let's like take that all the way and sort of think outside of the box that maybe that project has been on for many years and haven't seen outside of it. Then it doesn't always, turn out that way, and it can be really disappointing, and you can be really let down by those things. But that happens like more times than not, that you shoot for the stars and then, nothing, like it doesn't end up there, or they go for it, but you sort of steer it somewhere else. And like you have to adapt all the time, but you have to at least try, right?
But it leads to interesting self-discoveries though. Even if it doesn't pan out, you're going down sometimes a path of like unfamiliar, like uncomfortableness. Because you're like, oh, I'm going to challenge the status quo of what maybe we're trying to do and color within the lines. And then you as an artist, as an art director, as a concept artist, as somebody that's trying to do a project, be a POC in a project, you are now making your own self-discovery. And I think that's really important in the world that we're in.
Because you're becoming like a unique artist. So from that side, let's say, for example, when the director is filming a movie, he definitely has a pressure, but when you go in your zone, you don't care about anything else. Yeah. And definitely your unique style is something that you're going to show on the screen. So I do understand that point.
Actually, this reminds me of a story. When I was, I trained on film in Chicago. It's a known school in the United States where Steven Spielberg's Janusz Kaminski, if anybody knows Janusz Kaminski, I kind of mirrored his program. And there's a very famous lighting director. He's a famous gaffer who did a lot of very famous films. And anyways, basically during this course with him, we called it a special studies course because it was like an advanced thing. We got to train on every single light and every single support for cameras and dollies and jibs and this. And then we get to the end of the training and we have to make a film, right? Like, and you have to break into teams. But here's the thing, you don't get to use everything. He goes, by the way, all the stuff you trained on, I'm gonna let you use one to tell your story. And we're like, wait a minute, no, what the F are we gonna do? I can't use the dolly, I can only use the Steadicam. And it puts you into a corner and it goes, tell the story with the tool that you could do it the best with. And that was a seed that planted in me from that point on to say the limitation is the challenge. The limitation is the discovery. And where you can find the source of truth in the story you want to tell. And it's not about a piece of equipment. It's not about a light. It's about you utilizing things in the right way, right? And actually leveraging the lack of all those tools. And that actually was something that
and it's
was very
pushing the
important.
boundaries. So definitely, I would like to ask you, what was your corner? So on what project? So what have you learned so far from those stress moments? I will say that. Stress
moments. Can I think of some? I mean, I did this really small CG trailer for Total War, which was like we didn't have any budget, and it was really hard to come up with a concept that like encapsulated like all that stuff that you initially think about when you think Total War. It's extremely expensive to make a cinematic trailer for that. So we came up with a concept just focusing around two dung beetles fighting and using that as a metaphor for war instead. And we went all the way with researching like how those dung beetles work, and we talked to researchers and universities, and we even like scanned beetles. And it was a really small project, but really sort of heartfelt. All the artists, with limited time and budget and assets and a team, we came up with something that we felt had a bigger impact, than any like huge showdown with swords and stuff that we couldn't afford anyway, and that's definitely a case where like the budget and limitations had us to think about how to do this, how to do something really interesting that stands out, that no one's ever seen before, and it's so completely out of the box of whatever the game developers had imagined. And it turned out great, and they were really happy. And I mean, it wasn't a huge splash or anything, but I'm really proud of that job because of the work we did there, the creativity that limitation put on us. Like it freed us to think in another way, which is really nice, because a bigger budget almost never gives you more freedom. Like it always almost gives you more control from the top. You don't own your ideas. It's just usually that's how it goes.
I find that when you have big budgets, you almost are, your hand is being forced in a way. It's because you have to do the expected. You have the money, go for like Total War, go do the big fight scene, It's like, okay, how do you win that way? It's like, you expected me to show up with this thing, and here it is. Oh, cool, all right. It's almost like the story that you're telling Ben actually created a better result because it's something out of the box. It's something unique. It's something that is memorable kind of in a weird contrasting way. Not weird, in a contrasting way to what you would expect, which therefore kind of plants this interesting seed in your mind. And you go, that is something I won't forget. I would actually say we should probably plug that in somewhere here, somewhere so people could see what Ben's talking about.
Yeah, we'll definitely cut that in right here.
Right here. Editors, right here, boom.
We'll fix it in post.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, what's like, the thing that you talked about, like at the moment, everything is accessible to everyone, like almost all software, like you can, everyone can play with everything.
For sure.
What's your favorite piece of software at the moment?
I mean, for me, it's always been my pen and my hand, just like sketching things.
A true artist would say, right?
But like I've been like, it's been really helpful using Unreal to previous stuff, like things I have in my mind, big shots, big moving things, stuff. And you do that with light, etc. I'm not at the moment, I'm not using it as much as I think I could. And really, like, I think there's workflows to really work with Unreal all the way through. But at the moment, I'm sort of like in this big project, you're still stuck in these old pipelines, old workflows. That's gives really great results, but it's really hampering creativity along the way, right? Because it's like you have to decide in the beginning, you have to have it all visualized. You can't. There's no happy accidents. It's all gray until it's not gray. And that's really frustrating. So to me, like any tool that can visualize things earlier, cheaper, faster. Like Unreal, for sure, really helpful asset just to try things.
This is a guy who is not scared of AI.
No, and I think that we should talk to him about that. Ben, a lot of people are scared that AI is taking jobs and all this, and in some ways it's okay to be scared of new things. In other ways, adapt to it or be left behind, right? So
Yeah.
I'm embracing it. There's conversations happening at different studio levels with me and companies that I'm working with publicly and not publicly, and everyone is trying to figure this out. So to this audience and to us, is there any advice that you have for the people watching of how to get ahead, stay ahead, and embrace it, and also be aware of it? Like, are you using it in any way? I mean, please, like, share.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I am using AI to some capacity, not as much as I maybe should in my position. Like, it would be really easy for me to generate a lot of different concepts, etc. But we have really talented artists who also sometimes employ AI, to speed up their work. So, like, to me, I don't know, man. It's AI is such a
it's a basket term. It's a basket. And let me be clear. When we say AI, I don't mean, hey, let's go steal ideas because a database has collected.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, I have a prototype for an idea, and it's not the thing that makes it in the final piece. Like let's be clear about some of the expectations here. Like, we're not suggesting that you do AI and it's the final thing that the viewer sees. AI is a great pre-visualization tool right now, and it's a basket term. I'm only speaking about in this part of the pipeline, that it's okay to lean into concepting. It's okay to get some narrative out of it. It's okay to prototype these ideas to help inspire the thing you really are trying to do. Yeah. Like, when we say good AI, that's what we mean by that.
Basically, when, let's say, when you're developing a 3D model or you're inspiring, basically you're putting together some like images that you have seen on the internet, and also the movies and everything else that you have been inspired. So aren't we AI, like, on that?
Well, there's actually a term, Ben might know it. There's like a term where it's 27 themes are the same themes that recur over and over again. Yeah. And you can't, no matter what idea you ever had, it's part of this 27 combination theme. I forget the term of it. I learned it in
I don't know the word for it, but yeah, no, it's exactly that. And I think we're all going to get more used to it. It's just a very scary time because there is a lot of people that maybe, like, positions that maybe won't exist in the same way before. Like, everyone will just have to level up to more senior roles, which makes it tricky for people getting into the industry. I think, being like a junior concept artist might be hard in a year or two, because it's going to be pretty, like everything, like a bigger workload is going to be able to be handled by the senior concept artists. That's probably going to use a lot of AI tools to achieve what they want to achieve faster. But and I think, like, just the economics of it just doesn't make sense that we would spend the time we do on working with concepts. It's really tricky. I don't want to offend any of my really brilliant concept artists colleagues, because I am such in awe of what they do, and what they do is not just the skill of actually doing the thing or achieving like hyper realism or whatever. It's about thinking creatively and like composition and story, and doing that together with the director. That's something that I will never get from an AI by myself. Like, I will always work with a concept artist or an art director. However they come up with a thing, they still need to have the idea first, or choose different versions of AI stuff that they bounce out and then put them together in Photoshop or whatever, or combine that with 3D. It's just a tool, and I think it's like, if we can see it like that, as if we just, hopefully it doesn't steal things anymore. That's not good, but we're all stealing. Like, everything is stealing. Music is stealing. Like, it's been for generations. It's everything is just building on top of each other. It's when it's blatantly stealing that is problematic, I think. But I think people will know when there is a real intent behind something. When there is a human being behind the intent of creativity, feeling. That will always show.
I'll tell you a story about when Ben, do you remember when the Red 1 camera came out, the first Red camera?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'm shooting
huge.
Super 16 and everyone's like, this is over, it's over. And that happened for a little bit, and yes, actually I got to shoot on Peter Jackson's camera, the first prototype, which literally almost blew up in our hands. You touched it and you can cook eggs on it. I mean, it was crazy. And it would only last, it would only run 4 minutes at a time, and then you have to literally cool it with ice. And so, we're using this thing, and I'm like, why is everyone so afraid of this thing? And
So cool
I actually think it made storytellers better because it put people in a position to say, my job might be on the line one day, because now what could happen to film? Film is a niche, I could shoot 35 any day. Will I shoot 35?
No.
Probably not. Probably not. It's just not cost affordable. It's not fast enough, right? It's not immediate enough for clients, unfortunately. They want that instant gratification, and you can't have a video village because, when I take vacations, everybody, I don't go on vacation in Mexico. I mean, I do that. My vacations, I'm going to shoot films. I'm training. I'm trying new programs. I'm doing an indie game. That's how I kind of do stuff. It's different. Like, it's a different mindset. Like, vacation for me is slightly different. But, you gotta, the message is don't be afraid of new things, adapt to them, learn how to utilize them, right? But be ethical. Be ethical with it. If you do see people using AI and they're like really promoting it, and it's literally some of your favorite artists just kind of mashed together, we do have a point to raise an issue with that.
Yeah.
We have to keep it. It's the voice of us that's going to make AI better, right? What is AI really? It's what we want it to do. It's how we program it to do things. So if we program it in a certain way and we are pushing it in a direction, it'll be like the Canon 5D or your new iPhone, which is basically just an iteration from that Red 1 camera anyway. Just getting better and better and better and making everyone a cinematographer in their pocket, right? If you give Steven Spielberg a camera, whether it's a Panavision or an iPhone, he's gonna make Jaws, everybody.
Yeah,
He's gonna make E.T., right? It's the artistry, it's the storytellers, it's the concept artists that are doing the ideas. And that's, I think, Ben, I think that's the point that you're kind of getting at.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's not the tool itself, or it's not the fancy camera. It never is. Like, some people hide behind that to do shitty things. And the same thing will happen, or is happening, with AI. People just post untouched AI stuff, passing it off as their own. That's the same thing. It's not going to be good. And it's not going to have intention. It's not going to take you where you want to go. And that stuff will be, it will be filtered out. I think we're already growing tired of that sort of constant AI stuff that looks the same, and it's sort of all in a sort of loop. And eventually, if everything is like AI is just going to train on itself. So if we ever want to do something, it's the best opportunity to do something that AI can't come up with, something that's utterly human.
It's always just going to go in a loop.
If
we don't do anything, it has nowhere to go.
Right. It'll kill itself in a way. But I think there's good stuff happening right now. And Ben, we have about 3 minutes. I just want to plug Yum again. They're using neural networks to learn and perpetuate the next generation of mocap and face animation and all that.
That's really cool.
That's not using
I think nobody would complain if we all had a free mocap suit.
Right.
Why would you complain about
you could
that?
do more with it. Exactly.
I would love skipping the mocap suit in the stage, etc. Even if we have a multi-million-dollar mocap studio, I think eventually that will be obsolete. Unfortunately, and that is some people's jobs maybe, but that they will have to level up or do something else. I love our mocap people, and that stage is so top tier, and it produces such good results. But if I have to choose between being able to not even put on a suit, just film my friend doing a pose and then pulling that in, and that's suddenly in the movie, that's how I want to work for sure. So yeah, and that's what, like, we also need to capitalize on what the benefits of working in CG is, you know, compared to film. Like in CG, like the promise is to be able to change things, sculpt it, do new, like, but it's so rigid because it's still, you know, a stage, and it's really expensive, and you know, it takes time and processing, etc. But with AI tools, for sure, that will help. Will make it a lot easier.
Ben, if you want to say anything on your behalf, you want to plug anything on your own, this is your chance.
I haven't thought about anything really. I mean, go watch my reel or something. I have a huge project, as I said, coming up. I've been working on 2 very under wraps projects for the past 2 years, so I don't have anything right now that I can talk to you about. I would love to. But
that's the case with most people today.
That's the people that are doing great stuff.
Yeah,
they usually can't too. But I thought it would be a tremendous value of having someone like Ben to talk. I mean, this guy's an artist at heart. You know, a bleeding artist, and really cares about characters' performance and the subtext. And this is all we care about. Like guys like me, guys like Ben. It is really, it's how we bleed. You know. So Ben, you know, I just want to say thank you for joining us. Everybody, please check out Ben's stuff. Round of applause for Ben.
Thank you,
Ben. I'll talk to you later, but we have 3 more people joining us after you, and I really appreciate.
Awesome.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
It's
It was a pleasure to join you.
Thank you so
Good
much.
luck.
Bye. Thank you.
you.
Bye. Bye.